Greetings, Internet faithful. I'm some guy named Rob, and these are the thoughts from my car. It is just a couple of minutes past 5 a.m. as I slowly make my way along extremely foggy roads into the downtown core of our nation's capital for yet another 9 to 5 hybrid work shift at the office. And as I crawl somewhat, for lack of a better term, through the fog and wait the dawning of a new day, I think it's pretty fitting that I relaunch this particular podcast, as it's very symbolic of everything old being new again. This is not the first time that I've done the thoughts from my car. In fact, it's not even the second time. This is in fact the third relaunch, or the fourth generation of thoughts from my car. This, of course, being done from the third iteration of car that I've owned to do this podcast from, to record this podcast in as I'm driving along the highway. It is also the third YouTube channel to host this particular podcast. Of course, the original thoughts from my car, I'm not sure if those videos are still up, laying dormant somewhere in the bowels of YouTube archives. But these were originally hosted on an old channel of mine called Tales from the Creek Entertainment, which unfortunately I lost access to due to various circumstances. And YouTube, being the wonderfully useless entity that it is in terms of client support, simply refused to assist me in regaining control of what is effectively my own intellectual property. So what I ended up doing was opening up another YouTube channel, this time under my main Gmail account, and I used that for several years, including a couple of job changes, and of course, more thoughts from my car. And sadly, that channel is now no more due to an incident that happened, a security breach on one of my home computers that unfortunately allowed unauthorized access to that YouTube channel and resulted in a permanent lifetime ban for my main Gmail account to connect to YouTube. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with how YouTube works, there's no way to delegate the management of a channel to somebody else. There's no way to say, okay, I have SomeGuyNamedRob@gmail.com, which I do, by the way. That is a legitimate email address. You can write to me at it if you want. It's not an email address I check very often. Maybe I'm going to have to change that. But back to our story. You cannot say, okay, I am the owner of this YouTube account. It is under the account of SomeGuyNamedRob@gmail.com. But what I would also like to do is delegate, maybe not ownership rights, but at least management rights, upload rights, edit rights, custodial duties, as it were, to, let's say, some other guy named Rob@gmail.com. I don't own that address, by the way, and I have no idea if that is a valid address. Please don't try it. I would rather not harass someone who is just trying to live their best life. But the fact that I cannot, let's say, delegate my channel rights or my custodial rights for my channel to another individual or individuals means that basically once YouTube says, hey, this account can no longer connect to YouTube and sign into YouTube, effectively the channel is dead, because no further uploads can be made, no edits can be made, no videos can be taken down, no thumbnails can be changed, no comments can be replied to, etc., etc. The channel has effectively been killed by YouTube, and because, again, their client care team, their content creator support network, whatever it is that they want to call it, should be redubbed Useless Tube. I can't get a straight answer as to what happened, other than some vague hand-waving to the fact that they have decided that I was a naughty boy and that my channel, as a result, has to go. Of course, it wasn't just the singular channel that hosted the Thoughts from My Car that was taken down. I actually had multiple channels that were affected by this, including a gaming channel, another music channel. Effectively, it shut down every branded account that I had on YouTube, and I've had to start over again. Now, granted, this restart of the current channel has gone really well, and I'm not going to complain about the rebuild. The rebuild itself has actually been relatively painless. Growth has been slow but organic. People are actually watching the stuff that I'm putting up, which is kind of cool, because most of the stuff that I've put up thus far have been anywhere between 9 and multiple hour videos of ambient music, which I started to get back into after a lengthy hiatus on that creative front, which has been nice. It's been nice to know that people are enjoying what I'm putting up, that people are listening to, they are liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, what have you, and that it's resonating with people to the point where I no longer get giddy at the fact that my videos now get into, double-digit views after a month or so. I can now get giddy about the fact that my videos can get into double-digit watch numbers within 24 hours of them being posted, and within a week can accrue several dozen views, which is kind of unheard of, for me anyway. I mean, it's been a long, long time since I've had the following where I could say, yeah, I expect this video to pull in, a couple hundred or a couple thousand views. That was a long time ago on YouTube. That was many moons and many channels ago. But again, everything old is new again. And because of that, it actually feels really good to know that when I'm putting stuff out on the internet, it's not just screaming into the void. As much as my live stream introductions put me with the tagline, broadcasting from the International Academy for the Subtle Art of Talking to Oneself, it's nice to know that I'm not always just talking to myself. It's nice to know that there are people out there who are listening, who are interacting, who are engaging, who want to be part of a community. Because I think if there's one thing that is really lacking, especially on a space like YouTube, especially in recent times, it is the concept of a positive community. Because there has been a lot of toxicity on YouTube over the past few years. I would say in the past decade or so, the level of toxicity has reached a fever pitch. And sadly, it doesn't look like it's going to go away anytime soon. It's just one of those things that's going to happen. It's one of those things that, of course, on the internet, with the allure of anonymity, things are just going to go a little further than they normally would during face-to-face interactions. That's just the nature of the beast. That's the way people are. That is human nature. Anonymity is a powerful aphrodisiac. It gives people this heightened sense of importance. It gives people this heightened sense of what they can do, what they can say, and what they can get away with without consequence. And when you have the ability to do anything you want without consequence, or at least the perception that you can do anything you want without consequence, well, let's just say at our nature, people are not very altruistic. We don't tend to be our best selves when we face no consequences for our actions. I mean, hell, we don't tend to be our best selves anyway, even when there are very serious consequences for our actions. I mean, you can just take a look at the, current state of media right now, and there's a confirmation for you right there. But it's even worse when there's that anonymity that you put in, where you can just do whatever you want, say whatever you want, and who the hell's gonna know it's me? I can do or say whatever I want, and no one's gonna catch me. These people, by the way, tend to be the ones that whine and cry the loudest when they are caught, and when they do have to face consequences. But then again, that's not new anyway. That is very much, very, very much part of the cycle of everything old being new again. But it is what it is, and thankfully there are people out there who choose not to take part in those types of shenanigans. They choose to be a positive force. They choose to be positive members to build a community and sort of try and make something a little bit better than it was the day before. And I want to thank all those people who are doing that with the community that I'm trying to cultivate, with the one that I'm trying to curate, with the content that I'm trying to release, and the engagement that I'm trying to go for. And I'm being very sincere when I say that. I know it's very difficult to come across sincerely, one, because I'm measuring my words very, very carefully. I want to be thoughtful in what I say. I'm not trying to read a script, and not that it would be possible at all. It is pitch black outside, and I can barely see 7 car lengths in front of me with my fog lights and everything turned on, because again, it is extremely, extremely thick fog that I'm driving through right now. But with all that being said, again, I want to thank you all for tuning in to this relaunch. I think I got that right. I'm not going to go back and check. I'm not doing a second take of this. But I want to thank you for being here today. I want to thank you for listening to me make a short story long, which is something that I am incredibly, incredibly good at. I want to thank you for being here along the ride with me in the car. And until next time, as it was in the beginning, now, and ever shall be, with everything old being new again, drive safe.